Email certainly has advantages and disadvantages. We need to understand how to use it as a serious business communication channel. As you are writing an email, consider these questions. Is email the best method for this message? How confidential is the content of the message? Is your subject line clear so the reader will actually read the email? Will your reader pick up your intended tone? So first, be sure to analyze if the message really needs to be sent, or would face-to-face or a quick phone call be a better channel choice. If the answer is yes, email is the best channel, then the same thought and care need to go into preparing email messages as would go into a message being sent any other way. One big paragraph, elementary writing style. Hey, my name is Jordan and BTW, I am an employee at MXY company and we are just wondering if you have any information to send us ASAP on TRS system that we are considering adding, and if so, TNX in advance. What was the person thinking or apparently not thinking when sending that message? This message gives a much more professional image of the sender. Subject lines: inquiry about TRS systems. Please send us all available information on the TRS system by the end of the month. Our committee is considering adding this system to our company. Thanks. The next concern is how confidential is email. A good guideline to follow is this: if you would not want to see the message posted on the company bulletin board the next morning, don't send it. In other words, it is not confidential. Equally important to remember is that it is much more permanent than we might think. Hitting that delete button does not mean the message is gone. It can be retrieved and frequently is. Also consider the ease with which a message can be forwarded without the sender knowledge or permission. Now think about, when you open your email, how do you decide which message you will read? If you are like most people, you look at the sender names and then at the subject line. If you don't know the sender and no subject line or an incomplete one is given, you'll probably delete the message. So the subject line is crucial in determining if a message will be read. Which of the following would be an effective subject line? Procedure, job procedure, advertisement procedure, new job advertisement procedure to fill opening faster. Obviously, just the one word procedure could be one of many in the companies, or chances are when the reader saw job or advertisement procedure, he might say, I know what the job advertisement procedure is, and not read the email. See how important the words new and to fill opening faster are. Or what about that email message that replies to a reply to a reply, or is forwarded FYI and contains a series of messages? Here's an actual example of an email series that resulted in, well, you decide what the problem is. This series is between my support staff person and the computer department after I sent the department support person this message. It sounded polite and innocent to me. Could I please get a permanent mobile card assigned to room 417? Thanks, but here's what happened next. My support staff sent a message to tech department. Do you assign mobile cards to the classroom? Alex has requested to have one assigned to room 417. Tech replied, this is not our classroom. It's a UITS classroom. There should be one in the room, but you might have her double check. My support staff to me, Alex, you might want to double check the room, and if in fact you do not have an overhead, I will check with UITS. My response, I am 100% certain that there was not one there today, at least not before I left at 12:30. Support staff to tech department, could we please find out why there is not a mobile cart in room 417 as there should be? Alex is upset that one is not available. Do you think I sounded upset in my previous message? I immediately personally sent a message explaining why I needed the cart on the permanent basis, that I understood there are not enough carts for every room, and that I was not upset inside. I should have walked down one floor and asked directly face to face. Too much time was wasted sending that series of emails. Another takeaway from that example is that the writer's tone does not convey well in the emails. So although email is quick and the reader has access to it anytime, the writer does not have to consider if email is the correct channel, especially if it contains confidential information. The writer needs to ensure that the subject line is clear so that the reader immediately knows the message purpose, and finally the message should have a courteous tone. Long, short, technical, analytical, informational, memo, manuscript, all these are terms related to report writing, and there are even more. Regardless of the report you are writing, you have to consider the report's purpose, its length, its reader characteristics, and the reader expectations. Look at how each of those decisions impacts how you approach writing that business report. As we generally examine these areas, keep in mind that exceptions do exist, as many report types, formats, and terms exist as there are companies. This general information, along with examining the report used in your company, will help you write that effective business reports. Let's start with a report type. Reports are usually grouped into informational or analytical. Research may have to be conducted to prepare both types of reports, but just one presents that information, whereas the second actually analyzes the information and conducts your recommends. So the report type is tied directly with the report's purpose. Is it just to present information, or does it need to persuade? In business, careful analysis of facts and well-supported assumptions persuade, not opinions or general statements. Using superlatives and emotional words such as greatest ever and wonderful opportunity should be avoided. Specific facts should do the persuading, not this will make a lots of money. But we can mark up this item 120%. How often is the report prepared? Periodically, on a regular basis, once a month or once a year, for example, or is it a special report, maybe a month into the latest campaign? Management wants to be updated on the progress of the campaign, both what is going well and what is not. Is the reader inside or outside the company, and what formality level does that reader expect, and what jargon can be used? Short 1 or 2-page internal memo reports are more likely to be informal, meaning that first person pronouns will be used. Long manuscript type external reports are more likely to be formal, no first person such as I or we, or second person such as you or your pronouns. No contractions and more passive voices, because the focus is on the content rather than on who wrote the report. An example of active and passive would be I found when I researched is active. The focus is on the writer. The research showed is passive, more focused on the actual report's content. What parts should the report have? The longer the report, the more likely it will have a title page, a table of contents to guide the reader, a letter to the reader to transmit the report, and visual aids. Should the report use the direct deductive arrangement or the indirect inductive arrangement? That decision is also partially made based on the reader. If you think your reader will be receptive to your idea and has been involved in the entire process, then you will probably want to be direct. Begin with the purpose. For example, in a recommendation report, you would begin with a recommendation. Analyze if your reader might be skeptical or hostile, however, has a little knowledge of what the report's purpose is. If that's the situation, then you are more likely to have to prepare your reader by introducing him to the report's purpose with background information and support for your recommendation before actually recommending. Regardless of the reader, the formality, the type or purpose of the report. All reports needs to use lists for information that you want to be sure your reader sees. Include transition between the main ideas, use language your reader understands, and be reader friendly with descriptive internal headings such as the following. The heading previews for the reader what this section is about. Wafers lays off 10% of corporate workforce. Layoff and reduction. Probationary employees. Report in one sense are just like any other writing you do for business. You must apply all the principles of effective business writing, but in addition they have unique characteristics that must be considered. When you get your mail from your mailbox, what do you open first? Chances are you eagerly open the handwritten envelopes first. In this age of electronic communication, the handwritten note is viewed as personal, special, memorable, and appreciated. In what types of situation is the handwritten note appropriate? Maybe to show your gratitude to that client who called your boss to compliment you on how you handled the situation, or to follow up after the first meeting with potential customer, perhaps to congratulate a co-worker on his or her promotion, or to thank that person who took the time to interview you, or to express your condolence to your subordinate for the death in her family. That handwritten note could also be sent to show thoughtfulness when someone is going through a private difficult time. Whatever the occasion, whether a happy or sad time, the handwritten note is viewed as something special. Why? Because they are sent so infrequently. We feel more comfortable at texting, tweeting, Skyping, and typing. Those methods, as valuable as they are, can't replace the treasured handwritten note. So if the handwritten note stands out among messages and is so appreciated, why do we not send them more often? We may feel uncomfortable sending one for various reasons. My penmanship is illegible, or I can't keep straight lines. Maybe I don't know what stationery to use, or what if I am not sure I will say the right thing. If you have ever made any of those comments, you are correct that the message does need to have a nice appearance and that words should be sincere. You can beat competitor in attracting new business or in keeping current customers. Clients like to be reminded that you appreciate their business, and they feel special when you take the time to handwrite them a personal thank you note. It says that their business is important to you. A handwritten note will also make you stand out after a job interview. Sending an email thank you which may get lost in the sheer number of email messages in a busy person inbox, and a handwritten thank you note will make you memorable because you took time for that extra personal step. Handwritten notes will also help you build stronger relationship with co-workers, subordinates, superiors, and clients or customers. We hear a lot about the importance of having a high EQ or emotional quotient, which has a lot to do with our people skills and our relationships. People with high EQs are more likely to realize the importance of sending handwritten notes in developing strong relationships. So how should you go about writing that personalized note? First, give what you want to say some thought. It does not have to be long. 3 or 4 well thought through sentences may be enough. Second, the occasional handwritten notes supplements the phone calls, the emails, and even that text message that keep you and your product and service in your clients or customer minds. So some companies require their employees to send personalized notes after meeting with each new contact. Third, make it timely. The rule of thumb for sending a handwritten thank you note after an interview, for example, is within 24 hours. Like anything else, the longer we put it off, the less likely we are to do it. Even if the interview did not go well, someone took the time to interview you and deserves to be thanked. No matter how impressive your credentials, that you send a handwritten note will be even more memorable. So don't be afraid of writing that old-fashioned note. Whatever the situation or the occasion, the time you spend writing them will be time well spent when you get return or new business. Increase positive word of mouth comments and build stronger relationship in your work environment. Old habits can be hard to break, but you now understand how important being an effective business writer is to your career. You also know the techniques to use that will get you noticed as an effective business writer. So you must continue following the writing process and practicing those techniques to hone your skills. Remember that 4/5 of your time should be spent planning and revising. Trying to remember everything to incorporate and checking to see if all the guidelines were followed can be time consuming. However, the good news is that eventually clear, concise, complete and considerate, correct, courteous, credible, conversational, coherent and concrete writing will become your default setting. You'll be able to apply those techniques to letters, reports, emails, memos, any type of business document you have to compose. Keep telling yourself that a natural born writer is a myth. Those writers you admire and envy, well, the truth is they usually draft 5 or 6 times before they are satisfied with the version you see. So what next step will you take to become that mythical natural born writer? Try comparing and contrasting your current improved written documents with those you have written in the past. The difference will probably be noticeable. Rewrite your past documents applying your new approach. Ask those who read your business messages if they notice a difference. Often you will receive unsolicited positive comments. You may even see others trying to emulate your new methods because they will see how much easier your documents are to read and understand. OWL is an online writing lab that provides an English handbook and numerous grammar and punctuation exercise to practice. So the next steps are up to you. Only you know how much effort you are willing to put into becoming an effective business writer. The greater the continued effort, the greater the reward in terms of advancement, money, time saved, and confidence in your writing.